Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If they're coming in as a different name. So if it's a Bank of America legal department, that's a different name. Right. He's still a lawyer. He still don't have first-hand knowledge. They use the lawyer title for intimidation. That's all. They don't mean nothing. They still the same as any other third-party debt collector. Now, if they try to sue you, which they might, they're gonna bring a lawyer to the room. He still gotta follow rules of evidence. First-hand knowledge. Only person with first-hand knowledge can speak in that courtroom as a witness. Right. Who you was sitting there witness you signed the contract. Right. Don't argue about whether you owe or not. The point you want to make is who's accusing me? Is it the real party who witnessed me sign it? They might even send a document certified saying that you owe this, but it still got to be from somebody that first-hand knowledge. It's not your signature. How's it your signature? Because all they're going to do is show you a photocopy. That's not your signature. Like, no, that's not my signature. It's a copy of what purports to be my signature. This your wording, how you address it. You know, hey, it seems like it's my that it looks like a copy of what looks like my signature, but no, that's not my actual red ink signature. Right? And most times they can't even bring them original contract. But even if they brought the original contract, who's going to testify that you did that? You know you have a right not to incriminate yourself, right? You can remain silent on that question. I can either confirm or deny. All right, passport. Anything else before I move on to this? All right. All that stuff I said about nationality comes down to this. How you fill this out. You'll run into people that talk about you need to correct your nationality. You need to correct your nationality. And they have all this long, drawn-out paperwork for you. And I'm here to tell you this is all you need to do. All. And this here tells you I can skip everything and go straight to the oath because that's where the answer is. In the oath. Right here on the application. The whole key is not to look like a U.S. citizen, right? And this is the part, they don't read this first part to you. They'll start right here. Number 2, the statements made on this application are true and correct. I have not knowingly whoever went for a passport before. This is the part they read to you. They don't read the first part. They read all of the part about your photograph is you and all that stuff is correct, right? This thing been going on. Nobody important. Good. All right. Let's read the actual oath from the beginning. It says, I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. I am a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application. Are you familiar with that? Anybody familiar with that statement? So can somebody interpret that? It's all legalese, and I don't expect y'all to get it 100% right. Can you kind of give me the gist of what that just said? No. It's saying I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. What you're saying, you're making a declaration to the facts here, saying that all of this is true and correct. And if not, you can charge me with a crime, right? Everything on this application is true. That's what this is. I declare under. But what I want you to focus on is number one. It says, I am a citizen of the United States or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application unless explanatory statements is attached. I'm going to give somebody another shot, then I'll break it down. Right? But start at the beginning. Don't skip the beginning part. You went to the end. Right. You're making a declaration that you're what? You going there. That you one of these. Right? Performed any of the acts listed in the acts and conditions on page 4 of the instruction application, unless what? Okay, so what is this saying? I'm going to break it down. It's saying you're a U.S. citizen, you're a citizen of the United States or a non-citizen national of the United States, unless you do two things. You do what acts and conditions says on page 4, and you attach explanatory statements. So it's saying that you're a U.S. citizen. You're going to be looked at as a U.S. citizen unless you do what's on page 4 and supply your explanatory statement. See, they did it in legalese to confuse you so you would never get it. And if I didn't break this down, y'all would have never saw that, right? Because they did it backwards. Instead of just saying, hey, listen, if you're not a U.S. citizen, just go to acts and conditions and follow the instructions and give us explanatory statements. They just said it in layman terms. They know we are not lawyers because this was written by a lawyer to just confuse you, just like the Bible says. Christ has said, you lawyers blind the minds of the people, something to that effect. He condemned lawyers, so this is telling you not to even get a lawyer. Right? So they did this to cause confusion. So if they wrote that in the Bible, that means it's been going on for however long. These type of confusing statements. So let's go to acts and conditions. How many people got a passport in here or have tried to get one? Few of y'all. Did y'all ever read the acts and conditions on page 4? Didn't even know it existed, right? There's acts and conditions right there. Can y'all read that? Now, I did a seminar back in, well, it wasn't really a seminar. I'm part of another group, 12 of us. And it was one guy who thought he knew everything. And he was, yo, you can't do nothing over here. Because it says here, I'm waiting till they get back because this is very important. Wait, no, that's fine. I know people got to do their thing. Go ahead and get y'all a snack, whatever. Lauren, you want a snack from over there? You sure? Don't be shy. You know, these things here are the truth. I remember one day I was sneezing, and the put me on these. He said, take one of these. It was gone. Everybody back from the bathroom? Huh? I drank 2 bottles almost that water. That just ran through me. Imagine doing this for 2 days. 8 hours a pop. I'm out of whack right now because I haven't done one since March, and then after I did one in Charlotte, they shut everything down. I kind of enjoyed that little vacation because I was doing one every month, traveling from different states. You know, I was in Washington, Arizona, Texas. It was wearing on me. Like, man, I enjoy doing them when I'm doing them, but it's just that traveling, the hotel, and I get in and get out. I come in, the day before, and then I'm on the plane, hopefully by the evening or the next morning. And it gets taxing. I like being home. Y'all ready? That brother went to the bathroom. This is it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, acts or conditions. So it says you need to, if you haven't done anything here, and if you have, explain it. So it says, if any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, the portion which applies should be lined out. So what does that mean when it says line out? Right. So it says which applies. See, they even did that backwards. Usually when you line out something, it doesn't apply. Right? Very confusing, right? You think they did that, just because they didn't know what they were doing? They're trying to deliberately deceive you. Right. So you line out. People sit there, highlight. No, it says lined out. And a supplementary explanatory statement under oath or affirmation by the applicant should be attached and made part of this application. Now, I'm going to tell you how crazy people are. I have guys go do my process, go in there and do their explanatories and do their line outs, and the people will sit there and say you can't do that. You can't do it, right? You tried it before? Right. And the daggone rules say you can do it. It'll say it. No. And then some places will refuse to even take your application. That's why I say do it on religion. Because at that point, they can't shut you down. Now they're hindering with your religious beliefs when they stop you from doing it. So my affidavits are done on religion. You see? Oh. Thank you. So my application is done off religion, so when they start talking that mess, hey, are you interfering with me from practicing my religious beliefs right now? And are you purporting to even teach me law? Because when you go to do the application, people are just there to take the application, verify that you are the person executing this application. That's their own job. Pay the fees and send it off to the Department of State to process, and they're the ones who make a determination whether you're going to get a passport or not. These people are acting like gatekeepers, and they're doing a job that ain't even their job. So when guys call me up, they not letting me. They won't let me. Stop telling me. That's one thing that's irritating me when people call me and say what they won't let them do. I said, listen, you're allowing them not to let you do it. Don't say they say. They can say whatever they want, but if it ain't written on paper and in the rules, then what they say don't mean nothing to me. Because I'm showing you where it says do that. Now, this is the part where most people get confused. And everybody, whether they're trying to be a national or not, need to be in this section reading. When I get to a certain part, you'll see what you need, why everyone should be on this acts and conditions. Okay? So it says, I have not, since acquiring United States citizenship or nationality, been naturalized as a citizen of a foreign state. Let's stop right there. How many people took an oath to be a United States citizen in this room? Where you come from? You born in Georgia. So you went down and naturalized? Okay, so you good. If you ain't do that, if you didn't do that, then you good. All right. Now, military, you took an oath of allegiance to the military, and that you would commit for so many years to be in that service. But once you left that service, you went back to what? Civilian life, right? You go back to the original status. Right. While you're under that contract, you are a U.S. citizen and have to follow all their rules. You're no longer under that contract anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't still receive your retirement. You still get that money. Whenever it comes to money, get the money. Okay? Don't be talking about I ain't a U.S. citizen, I'm not taking your check. Take that check. Okay? Don't let these fools tell y'all, because most people that tell you not to take the check, guess what? They broke. Okay? And the reason why they tell you, because they want you to be broke like them. You're going to read a lot of poor righteous preachers in this business. Okay? Telling you this. And y'all going to run into them, and a few of y'all might call me and say, well, this guy said this and that. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, how is he living? Okay? I live good. Okay? And I won't be ashamed to say I don't live good. I believe in being compensated for my time and my efforts. But in return, I'm going to give you the best information possible to help you. You could do something with what I'm telling you. Some of the stuff I told people in here just liberated some people mentally when it came to debt. Y'all was worried about this thing being on your credit report, and I'm telling you, who cares about a credit report? You don't tell me how good I am. But you just got to know how to work around it. It's always a workaround. Companies come into business. Most companies go out of business within the first 2 years. About 85% of them go out of business in the first 2 years. And a lot of them be out of business. They don't even fill out the paperwork the next year. Like, you know how every year you got to do the Secretary of State paper. They don't even do that. So they out of business just because they don't want to renew the stuff. Right? So why y'all worried? It's nothing to worry about. It's just numbers on the paper. That credit report do not represent who you really are. Okay? You don't want credit under that social anymore anyway. I don't have any credit. I got one thing under my social right now. Is just a house that I own, that I did back in 2002. And my ex-wife, she lives there, but she keeps screwing the credit up. She can't get it totally off my name. You see what I'm saying? But as you know, I could force it, but you know, I ain't got time for all that. I'm on the bigger and better thing. So it says, I have not been naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. You are naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. Which foreign state is that? Georgia, and what else? Remember what I said, spirituality? No. Spirituality first. You naturalized under the kingdom of heaven. Come on, y'all. Automatic. How did you get here? That didn't happen by some mechanical means. That came from divine intervention, how you got here. It could have been it was a million options to someone else being here, but you got here. So that was by design. Right? It was millions of them little things trying to get in that egg, knocking on the door, banging, let me in. And one came in, and that was you. That can't be nothing but divine intervention. That can't be nothing but ordained. Right. Everybody's ordained to be here. Everybody. This idea there's only one person ordained, this and that, that's total garbage. Everybody's ordained and have a special divine purpose to be here. You're not here to watch football games, play, that's stuff you do for entertainment, but you are here to leave a divine footprint before this body goes. And then the spirit goes off back into the infinite. And then guess what it does? Come right on back. Some people call it reincarnation. And that wasn't it. Every spiritual guru, Christ, whatever you want, Buddha, all of them had some form of reincarnation, or they are a reincarnation of a prophet or spiritual leader before them. They just keep coming back with the same thing. And they took this guy and called him Christ. Some people say it's Yahshua, but he's the same, represents the same energy, the same spirit. That is that you are to become him. You will never know anything Buddha, Christ, or any of these things until you become that. You won't know the Christ until you become the Christ. And that's the whole walk, is to become that higher consciousness and realizing where your real power is. And the power was given to you the moment that electrical charge, because that was an explosion that happened in that egg. It go poof, and then mitosis splits. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. I can't even count that out. So, taking an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a form of state, right? Y'all got allegiance to what? Right here. That's a foreign state. See, they don't define foreign state because they want you to assume that foreign state means another country. And you notice how it's written, right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state. Churches can have armed forces too. Except that actually the Catholic Church, that's what nuns and monks were. Mercenaries. AKA missionaries. Yeah, when you go look up the two words, they're the same thing. See, what reason why they came up with missionaries, because during the Barbary slave trade over in Europe, they were snatching up people all over. Fair-skinned folks, that's what they were snatching up. And the Catholic Church had to go get them back. So they trained their missionaries in the art of war and fighting. So you ain't gonna send no guy who can't fight over there. These guys were straight warriors and negotiate these deals to get their people back. So really, mercenaries. That's where the term mercenary come from, the church. And they knew how to fight. They wore, that's what the Jesuit class guys. Those are warriors for the church. You see? So all this peaceful, loving stuff, and all of this stuff, they still doing a lot of those missionaries that were incorporated back then, they still exist today. And now what they're doing, they're going to these countries with their missionary work, bringing so-called medical intervention, which is poison, and is experimenting on people. So Tuskegee is still going on. Those experiences are still going on, just in different ways. And this next round of vaccines, you're going to see. All right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state, accepted or performed the duties of an office, post, or an employment under the government of a foreign state or political subdivision thereof, made a formal renunciation of nationality either in the United States or before a diplomatic or consular office of the United States in a foreign state, or been convicted by a court or court-martial of competent jurisdiction of committing any act of treason against or attempting by force to overthrow or bearing arms against the United States or conspiring to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States. So it said line out what applies, right? So what would apply to you? And it said, this is where the guy thought he was smarter than me. He said, it says here, the portion which applies should be lined out. And he was like, none of this applies, so you can't line out none of that. Yes, you can, because it said the portion. So, I don't know why this keeps sleeping on me. Maybe because I'm going through this age to mind. All right. Portion means just that, portion. So I'm the orchestrator of my life, right? So I just pick out what I want. I have, line, taken an oath, made an affirmation, formal declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I just lined that. Now I made that sentence work for me, right? So what my foreign state is, my religious beliefs, right? Then I skipped down to here, made a formal renunciation of nationality in the United States. For the brother with the security form, he would leave that alone because he's doing the security, right? Now, I just made that work for me. I said line out the portion, so I picked the portion that applies to me so that they know that I'm not a U.S. citizen, right? All my allegiance is to this foreign state, which I'm going to point to in my explanatory statements, right? Then it says, furthermore, now everybody, even if you're not trying to, even if you want to be a U.S. citizen, should be reading this. Furthermore, I have not been convicted of a federal or state drug offense, convicted of a sex tourism crime statute, and I am not the subject of an outstanding federal, state, or local warrant of arrest for a felony, a criminal court order forbidding my departure from the United States, see, they got to have a court order to keep you from leaving the United States, a subpoena received from the United States in a matter involving federal prosecution for or grand jury investigation of a felony. That means that if whoever applied for a passport and didn't line this out, you basically said you're guilty of all of this. You see what I'm saying? So everybody that has a passport that didn't even at least do this part, you just told these people you You a drug offender. You involved with sex tourism. Because it said line out what applies to you. They never show you that. So this is why they treat U.S. citizens with hostility, because all of y'all are criminals according to your own hand. Draw a line right on through it. Line it like this. Put a line right on through. I have, because you see it's written, I have not. No, I have taken an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I'm letting them know I'm part of a foreign state. It does. Okay, let's read the instructions. See, this will always get people right here. They get, because they so used to meaning that, right. I tell you what, if you don't believe you're special, just trust what I just said. You are special. You are the divine manifestation of God himself. That's why I keep saying you only have one job. One job. And it's not working at someone's job. It's not filling out applications to become employed by someone else. That's not your one job. It's not, oh, I got to do all these things so I can take care of myself. That's not the one job. It's not it. See, before I tell you what your one job is, I have to show you how you got here. Because through religion, through education, through politics, through social programming, social manipulation, media manipulation, and deception, you were made to believe that you have to do certain things in order to be successful. When you got here, you was already successful. You already had it all. Think about it, right? In the Bible, they had what you call the prodigal son, right? He had it all, right? And then one day he decided, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go hang out. Pops, give me my bread and let me go do my thing. You do your thing, I'm gonna go do my thing. So he disconnected from the source of having it all and went somewhere else where the funds he had was limited. First of all, he didn't have the mindset to even hold on to it. He blew it. He did all kinds of things, right? I won't go into all of the gory details. Then he woke up one day. He came to himself. He woke up one day and said, wait a minute. I can go back to the source where there is all, everything's there, but I'm gonna go this time as a servant because I know I don't deserve to come in as the son because I was disrespectful. I did not appreciate what my father had set up for me. So he went back to the father and said, oh, Papa, I want to be back here and I'll come as a servant. Just let me come back. And Pop said, what? Are you kidding me? I'm going to allow my son to live like a servant? See, my love and my provisions don't run out. And because they don't run out, you can always come back. As long as you realize that this is the source of everything for your existence. This is everything for you. And it doesn't run out. See, what the social structures have done is made you think of lack instead of abundance. Made you think that you have to have this. You got to measure up. Take these tests. Think about it. 12 years of taking tests have taught you only one thing: how to be afraid to fail, how to be afraid to not measure up. So you're so concentrating on what you don't want, which is the failure, which actually is what gave you the fail because you just was thinking about what you don't want. This goes back to you only have one job. What's up? Peace. It's March 11th, 2025. I know I let that video play a long time. I'm sorry. I was enjoying it. I was I was all full of myself. What's going on with my camera? Why is my hang on a second. Something's off. I got I got that bothers me when it does that. Let me see. I must have moved it a little bit. I gotta have my whole guitar in the background. All right. They gotta be there. That's my that guitar, that's the newer guitar, my trusty, the one I started with, the one I play most of the time. This one. This one here. This is the baby. She's got little bruises on it. You see little bumps, bumped it around. But this is the one. That's the newer one. It has a different sound. That one has like a deeper sound. This one has a more of a sharper on the high strings. I was sitting here. There's a song I'm trying to learn. I forgot what it was. What's the name of this? This is an old song. Oh, it's a Beethoven song. One of the few you could actually play on a classical guitar. So I'm trying to work that out. So it's March 11th. And today we're going to talk about international bills of exchange. My older folks, you already know my feelings on these different types of process to pay different bills and stuff. But I got newer people that's listening to me now. So I have to go over this. As a matter of fact, while I'm doing this, I need to send this link to how do I I'm so sometimes get my thoughts run everywhere sometimes. So what I want to do, someone needs to really l- listen to this show. I just want to send them the link really quick. If y'all don't mind me just taking a little break, a little pause to go find the link. I should have done this earlier, but I didn't. Sorry. All right, there's the link. All right. We just give me a second, y'all. Wait a minute. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. I ain't even touched my mic out. I gotta do that because it be tripping. Hello? Yeah, okay, it's working. Today I had a pretty good day. Hang on. Yeah. All right, done. I know why I had a pretty good day. I did a like a detoxing bath of. Actually, someone shared it to me. Shouts out to the person that shared it to me. And I'm gonna share it to you guys. I'll give you the ingredients. I took a detox bath. It's borax, baking soda, sea salt, Epsom salt. Let's see. Is there something else in it? Let's see. I like to share good stuff. All right. Thought I took a screenshot of it. All right, here it is. So it's 1 cup of baking soda, 1 cup of Epsom salt, 1 cup of 20 mule team borax. You can find that borax at the dollar store. 1 cup of pink Himalayan sea salt or red man salt. Then it says never use white depleted minerals table salt. So don't use table salt under any circumstances. Soak as long as you can. This will help you get rid of candida fungus. Also, it'll pull those radiation poisoning. Joaquin, how do I get radiation poisoning? Well, how's that? You're getting it from your phone, your electronics. Me being certified in low voltage electricity, these devices give off radiation. I don't care what they're trying to tell you. If they were to give you the truth about these devices, they don't want to lose money, so they're not going to tell you how dangerous these devices can be. That's why I have a little radiation blocker on mine. And if you look over my shoulder, right there, that's another radiation blocker. Right there. Someone gave me that as a gift. My good friend, brother, Javier gave me that as a gift. So I stick it up over my station. Then right over there, I got my organite pyramid back there that I made myself, put copper in it. So that um, you know, mitigate some of the radiation flowing around us. Radiation is everywhere. These signals are passing through your body at all times. You cannot sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, that is the reason why. And especially as things get more high tech, you're going to find your brain waves, your alpha waves, all of those being interrupted because of all of this amped up frequencies. You know, when they first started Wi-Fi, it was at a lower frequency, 2.4 hertz or megahertz. Now it's 5 gigahertz now. Then you got 5G. See, if they'd have let me help you understand something. I know I'm supposed to be talking about international bills of exchange, right? But let me help you understand something about technology. Every technology you have right now was invented at least 30 years ago. It was already there. What you have right now is old. Why I say it's new to you, but it's not new to the government. The government gets the best technology first. So the military had all of this stuff way back when. I was employed by Verizon Wireless years ago. So Verizon Wireless and another company work off what you call CDMA, Code Division Multiple Access. That's how this phone communicates. And then you have others that work on TDMA called Time Division Multiple Access. And then there's another one, and it's on the tip of my tongue. It's another type of technology that cell phones work on. But the two major ones is TDMA and CDMA. TDMA is AT&T, CDMA is Verizon, and then y'all remember Southern Bell, Southern Mobility. They have it's like there and it won't come out the technology. But all of those technologies are old military communication um of of communication protocols. So when the military moves on to a new protocol, they let big companies use it to sell to the public. Why is that? Just take it. Somebody in the chat, just tell me, why would the our military, our government get to use all the technology first before the public gets it? Well, give me a wild guess. Take a wild guess why they would do that. Take a wild guess why they would have it first before you get to touch it. Somebody just put it in the chat. I'm waiting. I know there's a somebody asked me how do I make organite. I'll break that down in a second. Security purposes. Maxwell says security purposes. Okay, that might be a reason, but that's not the main reason. Theoretically, God said power and control. That's true. To fool us and then sell to us. That's true. The reason why they would have it first is very simple. So that they can be able to break into any device that you have. So there is no such thing as anonymity with any of these devices. You're walking around with a walking electronic snitch in your pocket. They can get in it when they want to. Okay? Each one of these devices not only did I work for Verizon Wireless, I worked in tech support, meaning I had a clearance that the average employee would not have. And we had to be in tech support, you had to take extra classes, you had to sign off on all kind of uh things because the power you had in tech support, I had the power to make a phone work without it even having a bill attached to it. So I had to go through other processes before they would even allow me to have that much access. Right? And I'll explain to you why these phones are one big snitch, especially text messages. Text messages, they text messages don't take up much room if they're not multimedia text messages like pictures and music, videos, right? They don't take much room. A text message, they can store infinite amount of text messages on the server. And at the time I was working for them, and this was a very long time ago, this was like back in 2002. A text message when they used to call it SMS, short messaging system. Um, at that time, they were saying that they could keep messages on a server for 10 to 20 years plus without taking up too much rooms on a server. So basically, when you texting people, this is why I'm not a fan of texting, and I'm very careful about what I put in text. If I'm texting you back and forth, we really cool. We really cool because I don't like texting. One of the reasons why I don't like texting is because people misunderstand how you text. And I'm a short texter because I don't type very well. There's always some misspelling and some jacked up word pops up, and I don't pay attention, and I send that, right? But I also know how non-private text messaging is. So if you're talking on text message, make your stuff short and to the brief. Don't talk about anything of any major importance. Because they stay on that server. And VZW, Verizon Wireless, is the number one snitch on people. They very good about giving up your information if some law enforcement wants it without a warrant. They've gotten in trouble for that. Yeah, they just somebody asked for it, they giving it. So I've seen where I've heard where in divorce cases, got subpoenaed, they gave it up. So be careful what you're doing when you're on these devices. So that's why I got on that to talk about the bath and getting rid of that radiation. I recommend doing it at least once every 2 weeks, because as we're being bombarded with RF signals everywhere we go. Your next door neighbor got Wi-Fi on both sides across the street. Then not to mention the cell phone signals is just everywhere. Everybody's got a device. Then not to mention you have the Wi-Fi routers in your house. Then all the devices that connect to them. I looked at how many devices are connected to my device. I couldn't believe it. I said, I got that many devices connecting to my internet. I know no one's hacking it, but everything is connected. I got a computer here. I got my desktop over here. My phone, my printers, my daughter got her phone, TVs. What else is connected to that thing? I would say if I was to just put some effort into it, if I shut down everything in my house, right, all the electronics at night when I went to bed, shut them all off, killed all the signals, and then I put some type of, that might be a good invention, something over the windows to block signals from getting into the house at night, I'd probably sleep a whole lot better.
I believe we probably sleep a whole lot better. So there you is on that little lesson in cell phones and things like that. Yes, Akeem has done a lot of things. I was into satellites, barbershop. I'm still a barber, still have my license to do that. All right, so let's get into this international bill of exchange stuff. That's, I've been working with some new people and they have people helping them and they have introduced them to what you call international bills of exchange, doing tax returns for them, and it's causing problems. It's causing that dreadful what do you call frivolous filing letter. Anybody who don't know what that is, that's a letter you'll get when you're doing something that the IRS deem as frivolous, and they send you a letter stating that they're going to hit you with $5,000. You being charged $5,000 for a frivolous filing. Boom. Now that letter is very tricky because they're not really hitting you with the $5,000, but they are hitting you with the $5,000. But you have to read the whole thing to understand what they're actually doing and if I have time today, I'll go pull out a letter and read the body of it and let you see where they play games with that letter. But International Bill of Exchanges, right? That is, let's pull this up. So, a let's just read what is an International Bill of Exchange. It says an international bill of exchange is a financial instrument used in international trade to facilitate payments between buyers and sellers. In different countries, it is written unconditional order by one party, the drawer, to another, the drawee, to pay a fixed sum of money to a third party, the payee, at a predetermined future date or on demand. Key features of an international bill of exchange. Unconditional order. The bill contains an unconditional order to pay a specified amount. Parties involved: the drawer, the entity issuing the bill, seller, exporter, the party directed to pay, buyer, importer, or bank, the recipient of the payment, seller, or a third party. Fixed amount. The amount stated must be clear and not subject to variation. Specified time of payment. It can be payable either on demand or at a specific future date. Negotiable instrument. It can be transferred from one party to another by endorsement. In some cases, the drawee must accept the bill before it becomes valid for payment. So it's saying the drawee is the party directed to pay by importer or bank. So when they create these things and they send them to the IRS, the drawee uh is the they basically have it pay on demand of what they believe to be the accounts that are set up in the social security number. That's the bank, right? So according to what it says here, the party directed to pay, which would be the straw man account, according to the premise of these processes, right? So legal framework governed by international trade laws such as the Geneva Conventions on Bills of Exchange 1930 and Uniform Customs Practice for Documentary Credits UCP 600. Types of international bills of exchange: sight bill, payable on demand or upon presentation; usance bill, payable at a future date as per agreed terms; documentary bill, accompanied by shipping and commercial documents; clean bill, no accompanying documents, only the bill itself. Functions and benefits. Facilitates international trade by ensuring secure payment. Reduces risk for exporters since payment terms are documented. Can be used as a financing instrument in trade transactions. Provides legal resources in case of non-payment. All right. An international bill of exchange is typically used for commercial trade transactions and financial settlements across borders. However, using it paying on IRS debt is highly unconventional and unlikely to be accepted. I can tell you that right now. Almost it will not be accepted. Or let me put it like this. They never return the international bills of exchange. They should just send frivolous filing letters. So they'll take the international bill of exchange and do whatever with it, but they will tell you it's frivolous and not credit the account as you're directing them to do. If you're one of these people that's in these bill of exchange. The IRS in the US has strict guidelines on acceptable payment methods for tax liabilities. Here's what they, and this is listed on their website: electronic funds transfer for businesses and individuals, direct pay, online direct payments from US bank accounts, credit debit cards via approved third party processors, check or money order payable to the United States Treasury, wire transfer for international payments, installment agreement, payment plans for those unable to pay in full. Why international bill of exchange won't work? Lack of IRS recognition. The IRS does not list IBOEs as an acceptable form of payment. High risk of fraud. Scammers have falsely promoted IBOEs as a way to pay debts, which has been debunked by financial regulators. Legal consequences. Attempting to use the IBOE as a tax payment could result in penalties, legal action, or accusations of fraud. Now, I've seen all three of those. I've seen the penalties, I've seen the legal actions, and I've seen the accusations of fraud. Seen them all. So if you're just a regular person doing your taxes and you send them an IBOE, you will most likely have one of those three issues. And here's what I want you to understand. And I'm not trying to beat up on anybody who has, you know, put their faith in these processes, because people promote them so well, it just sounds like it can work. And, when things are tight, you got eggs almost $10 a carton, people will seek unconventional ways to pay their bills. And you have to understand that there are people out there that prey on people like yourself to make a quick buck. So I would not endorse any of that, because I've seen only problems come out of it, not any results. Now, what I noticed though, they never do send back those international bills of exchange. So my question is, what are they doing with it? Now, I was reading an article that way back in 2003, when they get an international bill of exchange, they're supposed to keep it, send it off to, let me see if I can find the information. um, okay. There was a this here is from May 5th, 2003, what I'm about to read, right? I'll give y'all the link. Here's the link so y'all can see I'm not making anything up over here. I'll put it in there. So this is what I'm reading from right now, right? dated, and this is back. This is the article is from 2003 from the Treasury.gov's website, but it says dated back in 1990. This is how long they known about these, people using these techniques. Dated August 6, 1999, warned about the circulation of worthless instruments entitled site draft. These items falsely state that they are payable through the U.S. Treasury and continue to be presented for bank payment at banks and other businesses throughout the United States. So these things are not new. It may be new to you, but it's not. They see it coming every day. In addition to site drafts described in OCC Alert 99-10, other forms of worthless items entitled bills of exchange, due bill, redemption certificate are being presented for payment at banks and other businesses. Regardless of how these documents are titled or whether they appear authentic, they are not payable through the U.S. Treasury or the comptroller of the currency, and they have no financial value or legal validity. These worthless instruments usually have one or more of the following characteristics. They are created to look like a standard bank check or are printed to resemble some type of collection item. They state the instrument is payable through the U.S. Treasury, the comptroller of the currency, or the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. There are no account numbers encoded in the micro style print along the bottom edge of the document, or they list invalid ABA routing numbers, and the person signing the document is not authorized by the U.S. government to issue such instruments. The creation and presentment of these documents may be a violation of Section 18. They say may. 18 U.S.C. 514, fictitious obligations. It's interesting that they said may. They may. And the persons using such fictitious instruments may be subject to criminal prosecution. If one of these documents is presented to your institution for payment, do not return it. Retain the document and file a suspicious activity report. Deliver the original fictitious instrument and a copy of this SAR to the local office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Please also provide the OCC with a copy of the documents and the SAR. See, that's what they're doing with the document, these things. They keeping a file of it and they send it off to the FBI. Now, will if very rarely do I see them pursue these cases. I see more fines than anything. Now, only time I've seen where someone got in some real legal problems where they wanted to lock them up, charge them with something, they were habitual and they did other things. They did that, then they just kept more things piling on to it. Then I saw where the government put the hammer on them. Like, I'm gonna read this story here. Um, where did it go? This is about a flower shop. This is back in 2014. Chico florist shop owner sentenced to 3 years in prison for tax dodge and retaliating against federal officers, right? It says Sacramento, California, United States. This was in California. United States District Judge Troy L. Nunley sentenced James O. Mullen, 70 of Chico. This guy was 70 years old of Chico today to 3 years in prison to be followed by 3 years of supervised release. So he got 3 years in prison. Then he got 3 years after that. So he that's kind of old to be dealing with stuff like that. Defying court orders and retaliating against federal officials involved in this case. United States Attorney Benjamin B. Wagner announced on May 27, 2014, after a 4-day trial, a federal jury returned a guilty verdict. According to evidence presented at trial, Mullen ran Touch of Class Florist in Chico. Why didn't he just stick to just selling flowers? When he wasn't doing enough business? And beginning in 2000, he stopped withholding and paying federal employment and unemployment taxes. So he stopped, like he had employees. That was his big mistake right there. If you're going to have employees, like a W-2 employee, you are required to take taxes out of you are required to be their withholding agent. There's no getting around that. There's actual statute that supports what I just said. If you are gonna put a employee on your payroll as an employee, and you're gonna have them fill out the W-9 and fill out the W-4s, you are required to take the money out of their check. Or the IRS is coming to get you. They're gonna slam on you because you agreed to be the withholding agent, and now you're not taking and giving them their cut. All right? You said, hey, I'm gonna do business this way. And because I'm doing business, you agreed that you're gonna be a withholding agent. If you don't be my withholding agent, I'm coming to get you. Uncle Sam don't play. Here we go. So he stopped withholding and paying federal employment and unemployment taxes. After years of collection efforts by the IRS, after years, they didn't get him. This was 2014. He just went on for like 10 years. See, that's what I'm saying. They don't always come when they come after people hard. It's they didn't gave you your warning. Like, here, take this fine. We denied. You're not getting that. But this guy was and he started off at 60 doing this. Right? So unemployment after years of collection efforts by the IRS, Mullen filed false liens. See, he started doing false liens in 2004. So after years, so it had to be way before, well, beginning in 2000. They said that. So basically 14 years against people who have been involved in this case. So y'all I'm glad I'm reading this because this brings up a lot of things that are being taught. Go file it, go get a lien on them. See, the problem with doing a lien on somebody, you must first have to sue them and get a judgment in court. Then, once you get the judgment, you try to enforce the payment. Then, if the payment don't get, then you get another court order to put a lien on them. That's called due process. And here's the problem I have with these people who teach these methods. They will enforce due process for themselves, right? But then when it comes to this types of process, they don't give the government due process like they want. What they do is, I'm just going to put a lien. Isn't that the same thing that the government do to you? Right? They just take your property without taking you to court and getting a court order. What you're accusing the government of, you're doing. Not you in my audience, but people who teach this stuff. You have to go through it's a procedure to get a lien. You have to, everyone has a right to be heard, just like you do. If you're going to enforce your constitutionally protected rights of due process, they have the same rights. So if you create a lien and just put it on them, you just violated their rights. That's fraud, basically. Because you didn't get a court to say that it was okay to put the lien on, right? All right. Now, I do know the government does this stuff all the time, put liens on you without taking you to court. But there's remedy. You can fight them, due process. So, involved in case, okay, Mullen filed false liens in 2004 against people who have been involved in this case. 2 federal judges, the United States attorney, all the people that was coming after him, 2 civil Department of Justice attorneys, an IRS revenue officer, and a witness. me tell you something. You go at these people like this, these people work for a system that has an army backing them, and you're just one person. There was no way he was ever going to win this. He's fortunate he only got 3 years. They probably did that because of his age. Um, Two federal judges, the United States turned two civil department justice attorneys and IRS revenue officer in the witness. The liens claim collateral or more than $93 billion. I mean, this is laughable. Like, where do you think that was ever going to be enforced? A lien has to be comparable to the situation, meaning I can't just go and throw a lien on anybody for any amount that pops in my head. And this is what people will sit up in a seminar and teach people. For real, they will teach them this. After a 2007 court order prohibited him from filing more false liens, like he got court orders in 2007, don't do that anymore. No jail time. Just stop doing it. Right? Court order prohibiting him from filing more false liens against federal officers in 2010. Mullen filed false liens against two revenue officers assigned to collect his taxes, claiming more than $199,000 in collateral. Mullen ignored several court orders, sent a bogus tax payment. This is where the International Bill of Exchange comes in. Sent a bogus tax payment to the IRS that he called an international bill of exchange and sought to frustrate collections by placing his residence and bank accounts in trust. So he went to um he he should have done all of that way before he started all of this by putting them in trust. After sentencing, Judge Nunley called the filing of retaliatory false liens against federal employees absolutely absurd. He referred to Mullen's many frivolous filings, there's a saying, and statements about the authority of federal courts, concluding the defendant has said things that are simply stupid. Judge Nunley further noted that in light of Mullen's deteriorating health, 36 months is not a drop in the bucket. That is a significant sentence. Mr. Mullen thought he could evade the federal tax law that applied to every American by objecting to federal jurisdiction, ignoring his obligation, and attempting to harass and intimidate federal officials. And U.S. Attorney Wagner, the sentence imposed today reflects the fact that such taxes are both ineffective and criminal. This case was the product of an investigation by the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation and United States Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. You see? You- you- when you're doing these process, you have to. I would just do research. This didn't take me long to find. I have other cases. It's 809. I don't have enough time to read all of that. There's another case from more like 2019. But you have people setting up shops. Yeah, I can get this taken care of you. You know, I can do your taxes. I can do this. Do you understand? IRS is one of those entities. If you don't bother them, they won't bother you for the most part. Right? So if you don't submit something to them that they can hit you over the head with, because remember, those documents are signed under penalty of perjury. So that means that you give me this document, anything I find wrong with it, I can attack you on it. That's basically what you're doing. It's called a tax confession. Any tax return is considered a tax confession. Why? Because it says under penalty of perjury. I certify everything in here is true and correct. Do I need to get a 1040 form? Right now they're doing something called 1040 ESs. This is the new phase. Estimated tax. It's called estimated tax for individuals. They're doing ES. It's okay. It says estimated tax is the method used to pay tax on income that is not subject to withholding. In addition, if you do not elect voluntary withholding, you should make an estimated tax payment. So a 1040, this is the crazy part. I didn't even realize this because I didn't really look at the form that they were using. The 1040 ES is for you to estimate how much you owe the government, not how much they got to give you. So even using this is wrong. This is what they're doing. 1040 ES. But what I want to go to is the signature page. It says, purpose of this package, estimated tax is a method used to pay tax on income that isn't subject to withholding, for example, earnings from self-employed, including gig economy work, interest, dividend, rents, alimony. In addition, if you don't elect voluntary withholding, you should make estimated tax payments on other taxable income, such as unemployment compensation and taxable part of your Social Security benefits. Pre-printed vouchers. If you made estimated tax payments for 2024, this package may contain vouchers that are pre-printed with your name, address, and SSN. So this is what it's for. This is what this 1040 ES is for. To make estimated tax payments, not estimated tax refunds. And of course, people I've spoken with, or at least 3, they got frivolous filings because of you using this. And then on top of that, the IBOE went with that, right? International Bills of Exchange. So this is what happens here. Why it is so dangerous to play around with the IRS and submit stuff to them. Because I'm looking for the actual, is this it? Let's just pull up a regular 1040. Hang on. Because some of y'all already know what I'm about to read. Let's do 1040 form. If you go down to where it says the signature, and I'll read it verbatim. So you can understand by fooling with this form, doing anything on here, you are putting yourself, you're consenting to be investigated. You're consenting basically to be investigated. It says, under penalties of perjury, I declare that I have examined this return and accompanying schedules and statements, and to the best of my knowledge and belief, they are true, correct, and complete. Declaration of preparer, other than the taxpayer, is based on all information of which preparer has any knowledge. So you're saying that to the best of your knowledge, everything on here is right. In most cases, you do something like this, they're just going to ignore it. And then the next step is frivolous filing. Keep doing it. Then it goes further. You can go, like this guy went years. You can go years without problems until you have a problem. Listen, do not poke the bear. More people get in trouble with the IRS by what they file than what they don't file. Meaning, people who don't file typically don't have the same problems as people who do file. Because everything is about what you say to them. Is this your tax return? Is this your signature? Did you submit these with this document? Remember, anybody's asking questions like that, that means that they are looking to start trouble with you. And at that point, you have the right to not incriminate yourself. All right? There you have it. Here's another case I thought I would read. Let's see how long it is. It's called Travis Lanier Williams versus City of Dayton Water. This guy was trying to use a bill of exchange to pay his water bill that was only freaking $187.42. It's 9 pages. I don't think I'm gonna. Let me see if I can get to the what happened. Basically, they denied him. It's I'll read this part. Williams' international bills of exchange appear to be based on redemptionist theory. This is actually how the appeals court answered. As the Third Circuit summarized, the redemptionist theory propounds that a person has a split personality. See, a real person and a fictional person called the straw man. The straw man purportedly came into being when the United States went off the gold standard in 1933 and instead pledged the straw man of its citizens as collateral for the country's national debt. Redemptionists claim that government has power only over the straw man, not over the live person who remains free. Individuals can free themselves by filing UCC financing statements. I remember that was a big deal, thereby acquiring interest in their straw man. Thereafter, the first real person can demand that government officials pay erroneous sums of money to use the straw man's name. The Federal District Court in Connecticut further explained another tenet of the redemptionist theory is that when the United States government pledged the straw man of its citizens as collateral for the country's national debt, it created an exemption account for each citizen identified by each person's social security number. When citizens contract for debt, the theory goes their debts are collateralized by their respective exemption accounts, essentially making the U.S. government ultimately responsible for satisfaction of their debts. See, they put this in this case, but well, if you understand how money works, every dollar you have is debt. In it, let's see, this is bogus. This response is bogus. I'm going to tell you that right now, right? But I'm just showing you how they're not allowing these things to go through. Not in the way you're trying them or whoever's trying them. Because if you understand how money works, everything they're saying is bogus because this country is nothing but debt. It says note. It says on the money, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So that means that this is a promise to pay, right? Now y'all making me go into. Hang on a second. All right. Let's look up the word note. See, I see they'll put the stuff in there for the public to see, and oh, that's not because what they're saying is bogus. I will say that I'm not denying the fact that those accounts, there's accounts out there, you know, strawman accounts, as they put it. Some people call them cafe accounts. I'm not denying that because you notice I said something. They never return those instruments. Money orders that you send into the banks, they never return that stuff. Now I've also people so called have done what you call the QSIP numbers on those instruments and found that they were being traded. Is it in this? It's not in this book. Okay, no. Here it is. This is the definition by Dictionary of Finance and Investment Terms. Y'all should get this book. This is the definition of a note. Written promise to pay a specified amount to a certain entity on demand or on a specified date. That's the definition of note. And this says This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So when I hand this 20 to somebody, I just made a promise to pay. But where I failed, this is why the public is so uneducated about this. I didn't give a specified date to redeem it. Right? So we're just passing around debt. That's what we're doing. We're just passing around debt with no specified date. So the hot potato just gets to one hand to the other until it gets into the right hand that taxes it. That's why there's a tax on your money. Because all these notes are supposed to do, these are all obligations of the United States Treasury. What is an obligation? Going to the book again. I didn't know I was going to go here. Hopefully they don't. Y'all want to know what the obligation? This book, y'all need to get it. Obligation. See, let me help y'all understand something about me. Y'all know I sit there, I do all my spiritual talk because that's my true mission. Spiritual talk and elevating your consciousness, helping you work on that. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. This is what you call a secondary mission. But I do it through spiritual means. So I know I'm beating up on international bills of exchange, but reading this kind of pissed me off because they sitting here making up, they trying to paint this picture like these things don't exist. And I'm showing you just by, I'm not reading anything else but the what this money said. It was a note is a promise to pay. So why am I going to the store to buy my goods with something that I'm not really paying with it? And then this bill got duality on it, right? It's got two seals on it. It's got one right here and one right there. So that means one side of this money is lawful money and one side of this money is fiat. Depends on how you handle it. So when I hand it to somebody, I go to the store, I'm using fiat. But if I use this money in the right way, I would use it in the lawful money way, which can't be taxed. When it's on the fiat side, it can be taxed because that's on the what? The Federal Reserve side. But when it's on the lawful money side, it's not taxed. See, we're not completing our transactions when we pass this money out. We're not taught how to complete the transaction. Before I read this, y'all remember the old gangster movies? And they always had an accountant. Do y'all understand that the only reason why the government went after gangsters, what was the gangsters doing? They were charging businesses for protection. Sounds familiar, don't it? Y'all probably should get some people on because I'm on fire right now because I read this. I said, these people really trying to make people think and play this game like we don't know what's going on. I'm just telling you the way you're being showed how to use international bills of exchange is going to get you in trouble. But I'm also showing you some truth here. Let me see before I go, because I'm going in. I ain't been going in on this stuff in a minute. Like y'all know, I used to teach, be deep in these streets with this stuff, right? So the mobsters would go around the businesses and charge them a tax. Where do you think your government get the method from? That the same method, they're using the same method in a different way. But anyway, so if I'm telling you this is a note and you just passing around debt paper, but I never finished transaction by setting a date because that's what it said, right? Basically, all of us is committing tax evasion in a way when we're passing this money around because there was something. I'm gonna see if y'all can guess it. I know I like to ask the audience questions. What was it? If you seen any of the mobster movies, they always had an accountant. And that accountant, they called something he kept. They had a name for it. What is somebody in the chat tell me, what was it that accountant kept? I'm waiting. I know it's a delay on YouTube, so I know I gotta wait a little bit. What was it? Yeah. Don't count me out. I know I sit there and talk about Christ consciousness and spirituality, and I don't really go in on this stuff. That I dialed it back. One reason why I dialed it back, because some of y'all Negroes don't know how to handle this information. That's one of the biggest reasons. And I'm tired of greedy Negroes. I want to use another word. Negroes just in it for the money. There you go. See, somebody said it. Somebody said it. Somebody said it in the chat. He spelled it wrong. It's a ledger. They all kept a ledger, and they kept double books. That's when they kept a ledger. So how we're supposed to be operating is every fiat piece of paper that we exchange, we're supposed to be having a ledger, where it went, who got it, so that eventually that obligation could be met by the United States Treasury. But we're not doing it. So we're leaving the book open. So who gets responsible for the tax? You are. Really? Every dollar you spend, I go and went to the store, I spend $1, they charge me 8% tax. I got to keep it right. Okay, I paid $1 here, 8%. Then I record that in my ledger. I got to let them know I paid taxes here to this place. I paid the taxes on that. Now, how do I recoup that? Right? We ain't going to get that deep. I ain't going that deep. So the word obligation says legal responsibility as for a debt. So that says with this BS case is saying, oh, the United States, they are responsible. The United States Treasury is responsible for the debt. If I'm giving this debt out to someone, the Treasury is responsible for it. All are obligations of all of this is obligations of the United States Treasury. So I just, they try to play it. In there they try to play. And they make examples of people. But y'all know for a long time, I have not really gone deep on this stuff. This is the deepest I've been in probably years. But it seems like it's some feverish stuff coming up again, and people are falling for it. Yeah, he corrected. He put ledger. Now, if you are, and I know there's some people listening to me that understand exactly what I just said. I know there's some people that don't understand. It's confusing because they're learning. You'll understand in time. You're supposed to be keeping your books. Like somebody put up here, ledgers or books. They call them book, but it's actually a ledger. That's how you're supposed to be running your affairs. You're supposed to be accounting for every dollar and every cent that you're spending. But of course, because the United States educational system, which I hope they abolish, was designed to keep you dumb, no one should be living poor right now. But because you have a group of big corporations who want to maintain all control over people, and keep their families wealthy for generations, keep their legacy going. So they promoted ideas and ideals down to everyone else that, like, I was listening to a billionaire literally say no one should own a home. Now, to the actual average person, that sounds like crazy. You need to have property. You need to own something. You need to own this and that. But think about it. Think about it. You go and get a home, most mortgages are 30 years, 15 years, most of them are 30. Majority of mortgages coming out is 30 years. When you look at the interest you pay on that house over time, not even $100 of your payment is really going towards the principal. Sometimes most of that payment is going straight to the interest, especially in the beginning of the loan. Go look at your payments. So now, is that a good business deal? No. And you're going to do that for 30 years. 30 years. We're not going to get into mortgages, though. It's a whole nother conversation. Whole nother. Whole nother conversation. Just because I don't preach on this stuff like I used to when I first got into this mission doesn't mean I forgot. Doesn't mean I don't know. And I'm be honest with you, sometimes I just won't tell you because most people are not ready for the truth of how this stuff really works. You just gonna have to figure it out on your own. Because I'm not gonna be responsible for people getting having problems. Because it's always that one person that gonna do something stupid and mess it up for everyone. This is why they have laws in place to stop people, because not everybody know what to do. Good stewards of money. You give some people a lot of money, they will kill themselves spending it to death. That's why you have to train yourself for money to have a money consciousness about yourself. All right. I think I preached enough. Yeah, I was reading that case and I said, oh, they trying to just really play this role. They say this and they say that. Okay, I just took out some definitions and say, well, this money says no. That means it's a debt. It's a representation of a debt. And if it's a debt, somebody's obligated to pay it. It's that simple. But the question is, who's obligated to pay it? If the Federal Reserve is printing the money, which is owned by a conglomerate of banks, which is owned by families, different families, they obligated the United States Treasury to be the ones to pay it, so that they could have a never-ending money supply of wealth. And with that being said, peace, prosperity, extreme wealth. Y'all have a good night.
I tell you what, if you don't believe you're special, just trust what I just said. You are special. You are the divine manifestation of God himself. That's why I keep saying you only have one job. One job. And it's not working at someone's job. It's not filling out applications to become employed by someone else. That's not your one job. It's not, oh, I got to do all these things so I can take care of myself. That's not the one job. It's not it. See, before I tell you what your one job is, I have to show you how you got here. Because through religion, through education, through politics, through social programming, social manipulation, media manipulation, and deception, you were made to believe that you have to do certain things in order to be successful. When you got here, you was already successful. You already had it all. Think about it, right? In the Bible, they had what you call the prodigal son, right? He had it all, right? And then one day he decided, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go hang out. Pops, give me my bread and let me go do my thing. You do your thing, I'm gonna go do my thing. So he disconnected from the source of having it all and went somewhere else where the funds he had was limited. First of all, he didn't have the mindset to even hold on to it. He blew it. He did all kinds of things, right? I won't go into all of the gory details. Then he woke up one day. He came to himself. He woke up one day and said, wait a minute. I can go back to the source where there is all, everything's there, but I'm gonna go this time as a servant because I know I don't deserve to come in as the son because I was disrespectful. I did not appreciate what my father had set up for me. So he went back to the father and said, oh, Papa, I want to be back here and I'll come as a servant. Just let me come back. And Pop said, what? Are you kidding me? I'm going to allow my son to live like a servant? See, my love and my provisions don't run out. And because they don't run out, you can always come back. As long as you realize that this is the source of everything for your existence. This is everything for you. And it doesn't run out. See, what the social structures have done is made you think of lack instead of abundance. Made you think that you have to have this. You got to measure up. Take these tests. Think about it. 12 years of taking tests have taught you only one thing: how to be afraid to fail, how to be afraid to not measure up. So you're so concentrating on what you don't want, which is the failure, which actually is what gave you the fail, because you just was thinking about what you don't want. This goes back to you only have one job.